Hey guys, welcome to our Aussie Hop Series presented by the legends at HPA. Throughout this series, we're talking to some of the best brewers both in Australia and around the world about some of their favourite Australian hops. Today, we're talking Enigma with Simeon Bonetti from HPA and George MacGregor from Aether Brewing. Sim, start with you. Good to see you, mate.
Hello, how you doing?
And George, thank you for joining us. I know you've got a busy brew schedule, but thanks for taking the time out.
It's an absolute pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Mate, Sim, I'm going to start with you. Give me I guess, the background, the profile, the where to and how for of Enigma. What's the story?
Yeah, well, Enigma, its namesake says it in one way. It is a bit of a chameleon. It can be this, it can be that. We certainly come back to the rock melon, raspberry, red currant kind of notes with Enigma. But depending on the application, it can sort of really change how it goes where it's being employed, and also really like elevate and shift the hop bill when it's coupled in there.
And mate, has it been, I guess, a long-standing part of the HPA portfolio? What's the longer background?
Yeah, 2015, I believe it was commercialized. So it's been, part of the Australian proprietary repertoire, for a decent chunk of time. Uh, it has been, perhaps a quiet achiever and kicking away in the background, and not everyone knows about it. So interesting
Well,
hop.
mate, they're going to know about it after this podcast. So,
Mm.
George, I'll throw to you. I guess in your experiences as a brewer, when did you kind of first come across Enigma? Was it working with Ether or potentially beforehand?
Yeah, it was working at Aether. We do a fair bit of work with HPA, but this one actually came through doing a couple contract brews for another brewery. Um, they asked for us to put it in their contract, and we just kind of noticed at the very end of the whole brew cycle, once it went into pack, it just had this amazing flavor to it. So we dug a little bit deeper, dissected it a bit further, started, learning a couple tips and tricks along the way, and we just found this amazing hop that we've just kind of taken under our wing, basically.
What was the characteristic that kind of really stood out to you in that when you first came across it?
It's just got this great depth of flavor.
Mm-hmm.
You get this amazing shot of just kind of like green fruits all across the board. So, like what you said, Sam, the rock melon there. I also get hints of like some gooseberry and even like a little bit of like a white grape, kind of like a Pinot Grigio feel to it. So,
Mhm.
it just paints this great depth of flavor. It's just like this beautiful canvas that you just have all this room to play on.
I love it. The beautiful canvas. George, what across the Ether portfolio, you've got quite a range of styles and beers going on. Can you tell me which beers feature Enigma in them?
Yeah, it's almost these days. It's like what doesn't feature Enigma in it, pretty much. So I have an hour up in the office today, so naturally I've cracked open an all Australian pale ale that we make. That's our flagship pale, heavily used in that one. We have a black XPA, also part of our core range. We use it in that one as well. And on top of
Mhm.
that, it's just kind of like it's reached like that Salt Bay kind of sprinkle it around everywhere level. If we're doing a limited IPA, or if we're just looking to kind of play around at what hops work well together, we'll always chuck it in there.
Is that an official brewing technique? The Salt Bay Sprinkle,
Oh, you got to do it when you're opening up the hatch. You just got to add that last little bit of hop in there. It's
little Hop Bay
the je ne
action.
sais quoi.
Je ne sais quoi. Mate, when you consider Enigma against sort of other hops on the market, I guess how would you describe the point of difference of what's the thing that makes it stand out?
It's kind of a two-factor thing. Like what I was saying before, it's that real depth of flavor that you get behind it. It really rounds a beer out. It creates this really full body and full mouthfeel experience without going too much in one direction or the other. Um, that kind of leads into the second note as to why I like Enigma so much. It's just that it's kind of like the most amazing team player of all time.
Mm.
So Enigma itself for me isn't necessarily going to give you those really high notes that you'd get off of something like, straight Citra and Mosaic, stuff like that, or just straight adding Galaxy to something. It kind of, like I was saying before, adds a little bit of canvas. It's that backdrop that you can really kind of play hops off of each other.
Mm.
So Enigma is just one of those beautiful things that you can almost pair up with anything, and it's just going to have this great interdimensionality between this real depth of juice as well as the high notes that you're going to hit off of whatever other hop you're picking.
And I guess, and maybe Sim, you may have an answer here, but is there, I guess, what is the technical differences with that hop? What's giving it that performance in brewing to be able to sort of accentuate other hops in the mix as well?
Yeah, like a lot of Australian hops, Enigma is very rich in thiols,
Mm-hmm.
and a little bit goes a long way when you've got a thiol heavy hop, and depending on whether those are bound thiols or ready to go, um, the application where it's used can really vary how it expresses.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I think George, you sort of alluded to, it plays in with other hops really well, and I think that's the thing. Your citras and your galaxies, and they sometimes are a stand by themselves hop, but then they could be also just accentuated with a little bit of something that might be missing. And Enigma, that's where a strong suit that I see in Enigma is that it can really amplify other hops by filling in some of the gaps that they might be missing.
I like the analogy of the salt thing because I feel like it's you're telling me it's the hop that should be in every brewer's arsenal, like it should be in the kitchen, just there. Add a little bit, you're going to get a lot back.
Yeah, it's like it's almost like a bass guitar, playing in a song. If it's not there, you're gonna notice it. It rounds it out. It fills it out.
I love that. We've gone from the kitchen to the studio now. This is fantastic.
Kitchen to the garage.
George, with your technical hat on now, I guess, are there any kind of, you mentioned a few tips and tricks, like what would you suggest or things that you've learnt that might help other brewers to brew more efficiently with Enigma to get the most out of that hop?
Yep. Like a lot of other hops that are coming from down here in Australia, it's absolutely stonking. It's just full of alpha acids. The oil content's just crazy high in it. So a little bit goes a long way. What I tend to do with Enigma, I tend to avoid it on the hot side. The
Mm.
cohumulone content is a little bit high, so it can give us that harsher bitterness. So I just try to use it, like if I'm going to use it on hot side to really extract that oil content, I'm going to dip pool. Otherwise, I'm just going to throw it in at late stage ferment and let it really just fill it out from there. So what we'll do is normally about 24 hours before we hit final grav and crash, we're going to throw it in our fermenter. We're going to recirc that tank with a very generous dose of Enigma. And then from there, yeah, just let it extract. We'll hit that really nice oil content and we'll just crash it. And everything will just be kind of this perfect encapsulation of really fresh hop as you bring that temp down. And that translates through into your final packaged product.
Yeah, wow. Simeon, is that in line with, I guess, how you would recommend using Enigma? Is that sort of, are there other advantages or tips and tricks that you might be able to share as well?
Oh yeah, look, I think that's great. I've said it. This might be the third time I repeat myself that there are different ways to go, and then in a judicious application, certainly in the hot, it can have its own place. But I think George is, you've identified like it's cold side, but active, and that's really kind of bringing out intensity from that hop.
Mm.
Um, yeah, I think that's all I've got there.
George, are there any? We've talked about the way it pairs well with other hops. Are there any kind of pairings in particular that you love that maybe you've seen in some of the beers that you're brewing with Aether? Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, I particularly go with pairing it up with either other Aussie hops or
Mm-hmm.
American hops. Things that are really citrus forward, I find it plays really nicely with. Uh, Also, things like Galaxy, where you got that little bit of passion fruit as well to play in with that nice green fruit character. So, really, it's things like Citra, Galaxy. I've had pretty good luck with Azaka and Amarillo as well. And we've even paired it up with Equinaut as well. And that's been quite nice.
Yeah, wow. And any particular beers we should be looking out for in the Ether range that you think are a fantastic use of Enigma?
That all Australian pale ale for sure.
George, now Enigma also comes in Spectrum as well as T90 products. So, what's your experience in have you used both? What do you find the main differences are? And do you have a preference kind of thing?
Yep, we do use Spectrum Enigma. We mostly use it during active fermentation. So when you're about 2 or 3 degrees Plato off your final gravity, we'll throw it in the fermenter. We let it just interact with yeast. It helps dissolve it, disperse it. It helps just to mellow it out. And what we find is that we get this even greater depth of that green fruit flavor when we're using that spectrum. And it's because we don't have that vegetal characteristic. So when you're throwing it into your fermenter at that kind of mid-ish ferment point, you don't have to worry about over extracting or anything like that. It's just pure flavor coming out.
Mm.
It also helps with obviously tank yields when you're not absorbing all of that liquid into your hop matter. It's going to help us get more finished product into package. But that said, when you're not adding T90s, you're going to miss just that little bit of kind of the secret sauce. uh, there is a little place. There is a place for the T90 and that green kind of vegetal characteristic to come into your beer. It just creates a more fuller, rounder, and broad spectrum flavor in the end of it all.
Yeah, nice. Well, guys, this has been an absolutely amazing chat, and I really do appreciate your time. Thank you, both of you, for joining me, and thank you to HPA for making this series possible. If you'd like more information on the very best Aussie hops, head to www.hops.com.au. Thanks, guys.
Cheers, Craig. Thanks for having us.
Thank you very much.